Good evening. I'm David Smith, and this is Week in Review. We're glad to be back with you after a little bit of a hiatus. I'd like to welcome our co-host, Eric Hoffman, who joins us from San Diego by telephone.
Glad to be here.
Daniel, our co-host and producer, who's at the control panel here in the studio in Arkansas.
Hello.
I'd like to remind everyone of our Twitter hashtag WIRTV and our email address weekinreview.tv, and that's David, Daniel, or Eric at weekinreview.tv. We'd like to hear from you if you have any comments that you'd like to send us. Or comments, criticisms, observations. We'd be happy to receive them. And I guess today you wanted to talk about the payroll tax, didn't you, Eric? And
yeah, I think we should give people a heads up about this because we were discussing it, and you kind of have a personal story you can relate about it too.
Well, yeah, I'm on disability for being legally blind. I've got retinopathy, which is why I'm wearing the sunglasses today. I've got light sensitivity and have had a bleed in my eyes, so I'm real sensitive to light right now. So that's why I'm wearing these dark blue glasses. But I don't think a lot of people understood, they got additional money in their paycheck, which at the present time is probably really needed, but they don't understand that that's coming out at the other end when you go to collect your Social Security down the road, because it's not being put into your account. That was what was reduced, was your contributions to Social Security and Medicare.
So in effect, you're not going to get as much out, right?
No. And if you, we were talking about disability, if you wind up having to draw disability for some reason, you will have less of a benefit amount because there will be less going into your Social Security account. So people need to think about that. If you've been factoring in your Social Security for your retirement, you need to look at those statements you get every year around your birthday very carefully, because you'll notice that your amount of contribution has gone down because Obama reduced the contributions that you need to make.
Well, that's one of those effects that he does it and nobody notices it for many years after his presidency is over, and nobody comes back and blames him after the fact. They always blame the current president. So he's basically caused some PR disaster for later presidents.
Yeah, someone down the road. But this is what Congress, the Republicans in Congress have wanted, is the privatization of Social Security, where it's gradually phased out and everyone is responsible for their own retirement. So
yeah, that's what I really wanted to bring up is if you're really counting on this Social Security for retirement, you better calculate what you're saving in the payroll tax decrease and put it in your IRA or something.
Yeah, take that.
If you can afford it.
You need to take that money out and put it into an IRA or into a savings account or something.
Or your
because
401k.
That's not going into your Social Security account.
So you could be in for a big surprise, especially if you're planning on retiring soon.
Yes. Well, if you're planning on retiring soon, it probably isn't going to affect you very much within. But if you're 5 or 10 years out, and you're looking at counting that, you need to be careful and watch it, because especially if you're about 10 years out, you're going to lose a significant amount of your contribution.
Yeah, and no one's saying this, and yeah, basically they're privatizing Social Security. I don't see a Congress that's going to have a will to hike the Social Security back up to where it was.
No. No, in fact, they'll probably try to reduce it even more.
Uh,
Do an even greater reduction. And that, of course, will take more out of your Social Security account. And like I said, you need to look at that amount on that form that you receive around your birthday that tells you what your contributions have been over the entire period that you've been working. You need to look at the amount that you would receive as a benefit award if you were declared to be disabled. Because that's your monthly amount, and that's where you start. Your amount can never go below that, but for example, when I received mine 2 years ago, we didn't get a cost of living increase the first 2 years that I was drawing Social Security. They said there was no inflation. So there was no cost of living.
We all
increase.
know that was a lie.
Yeah, that was a total lie. But
that was a total lie.
But now, each time you get the cost of living increase, your benefit goes up a little bit. So it can never go below what it initially started as, and it can never go below what it becomes when you get your cost of living increases. But that is entirely based on the contribution that you make. So if your payroll taxes are going down, you're contributing less, and your benefit, should you become disabled, is being lowered.
And this was the Democrats that were screaming about the privatization of Social Security, and they're doing it in a stealth manner.
Yes, it's exactly what the Republicans wanted done, but they went around and did it in a different way. It wasn't a quite as direct.
So,
they did.
So the Republicans are not going to, like I said, I don't see it getting raised in the future. The Republicans aren't going to try and raise it, and the Democrats aren't going to try and raise it.
Well, there's also that problem. Republicans are opposed to raising taxes anyway. Yeah. So once you've lowered the tax, it's going to be very hard to get them to vote to raise it again.
Yeah, I would encourage all of our viewers to spread the story to their friends.
Yes.
Because it just hasn't been reported at all.
No, I was,
I'd encourage you to contact your congressman or senator and ask you about this if they're planning to restore it so by the time you retire you're going to get the benefits you deserve.
Yes. Because a lot of people, especially, like I said, people about 10 years out from retirement, need to be looking very carefully, maybe even 5 to 10 years, because it's a significant amount of money when you add it up every year, the amount you pay in Social Security and Medicare tax.
And especially if you're just beginning, I'd encourage you, if you can, to make up the difference somewhere else.
Yes.
Because I don't see them raising it back up. So if you're just beginning your working career, you're going to get a lot less money than the people that are retiring now.
Oh yes, if you're starting your working career now, or even if you're like halfway through your working career, you're going to receive a great deal less in Social Security benefits. And Medicare, simply because you won't be contributing for 25 years worth as much.
As much as the people that are retiring,
if you're looking at just beginning your career, you're looking at 40 or 50 years, because they're going to raise the age for retirement benefits. They're looking at trying to get it to 68 or 72.
Yeah.
I think the earliest you can retire now is 63.
Yeah, I found this curious that neither party is even mentioning this to anybody.
Oh, no, they don't want to talk about this one because this is something they both agreed on.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't affect them. They have full benefits.
Oh, yeah, they get
for life.
Full they have a congressional and a presidential pension, so.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like a good time to stop and throw up our intro video since we haven't done that yet.
Okay. Okay.
We'll be back. We'll be right back. One sec. Well, I guess that was a good try. We got the audio in there, but the video somehow lost it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are we back?
Yep, we're
We're
back.
back.
But yeah,
Okay.
people need to watch this because they're doing this, in, as you pointed out, Eric, in a very stealth manner. They're,
Yeah.
and of course, it was a good time to do it with everyone, financially strapped right now. Anyway, the reduction in taxes is very popular because
Yeah.
people get more money in their paycheck. But
Yeah.
they're not thinking down the road, what is this going to do to me in the future? It's just that I have more money right now.
Yeah. And if you should happen to get suddenly disabled, you're in for disaster.
Yeah. You'll be but yeah, but people need to look at those statements that they receive every year very carefully. I think most people just kind of open it and throw it on the desk or in a drawer somewhere and don't look at
Yeah.
it and understand what that statement of benefits is.
No.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because even I do that. I look at it and I throw it on the
Yeah, you-
Oh,
table.
yeah.
But we got to realize, even the younger people got to realize that that is our money that we're contributing to a valid retirement account, and the government has complete and utter control over it, and they're just basically taking all that money we're putting into it, giving us IOUs in the back and on the
Yeah.
back end, and then underfunding us and constantly cutting our benefits once we retire.
Yeah, they just found a popular way to reduce the benefits.
I think what they're trying to do, and eventually will do, Social Security will remain, but it will come down to contributions will be so little that you'll wind up with maybe a retirement benefit of $200, $500 a month, maybe.
With
It'll
inflation, you'll be
become
able
a
to go to
very small
McDonald's twice.
part of your retirement. They're going to start having people create these, individual retirement accounts, medical savings accounts, all these other things, where you put the money in yourself, according to what, and then you get a very little benefit from the Social Security and Medicare system.
Oh yeah, I'm not planning on receiving any benefits at all, because I doubt by the time that I retire that any of it will still be there. So I'm planning my own retirement through proper investing and all of that, and having to learn that and understand what investing is and what I should be investing in. And by the way, Facebook is not it.
No. That was pretty strange. But yeah, anyways, we just wanted to bring this to everybody because no media outlet that I know of has brought this up.
And this is, as you point out, this is very important, especially for like a head of household.
Yeah.
If you become suddenly disabled, let's say you're in a terrible car accident, and you're disabled for a significant period of time or permanent disability, that little amount up in the corner of that statement, that's what you get.
Yeah.
And it has the individual amount that you would receive and the amount if you're head of household. It's not terribly much more if you're head of household, but that will also go down. So you have to think, if you have dependents, a wife and children, or if you're a mother with children, a single mother with children, that's your benefit amount. And if you're paying less in, you're going to get less out.
So the Democrats basically did what Bush wanted to do, but they just did it under the radar.
Absolutely. Which is a typical Democratic maneuver.
Yeah.
The Republicans are kind of upfront about it. The Democrats are always sneaky.
Always stealth, yeah. Well, we wanted really to get this information out to you, and I encourage all of our viewers to tell at least somebody else. And
yeah, because
post it on
everyone
social
is
media.
affected by this. Everyone works, and you know.
And no one's thinking about it. Like I said, me and David just sort of hit on it in a casual conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important because you know your benefits at retirement are going to be affected, and you need to calculate that into your retirement strategy. But very importantly, you need to be aware always of what your disability benefit would be should you become disabled.
So, yeah, what happened to you?
Yeah. See, I suddenly became disabled unexpectedly. I planned on working another 25, maybe 30 years before I was going to be eligible for retirement, and all of a sudden, I developed this retinopathy, and have lost my vision. You know, I have a severe vision impairment, and have been awarded, you know, permanent disability.
So we just wanted to warn all of you out there that you're not going to be receiving the benefits you see the older people now that are getting.
Yeah.
So plan ahead and take it into consideration.
Well, yeah, that
And tell somebody.
Yeah, and the fact that the benefits that people are getting nowadays is really a joke. You
Yeah,
can barely live off from Social Security that people are getting these days.
No, you can't really live off of it anyway. But
You have enough to pay for your utilities and all of that, but forget about actually eating properly, let alone eating well at restaurants.
You wind up having to decide whether you're going to eat, or if you have, especially if your disability requires a lot of medication, you have to make a decision sometimes between food and medicine. Are you going to eat, or are you going to take your medicine?
Well, one of the greatest things that came along was Walmart's $4 prescription plan.
Yeah.
That's helped a lot of people out.
well, that is great. That is good.
So
So, like I said, all of our viewers, everybody who's listening to this, please tell somebody else about this. Warn everybody.
yeah, be aware
Twitter
of what's, because we don't tend to think about those things as Americans anyway. We don't plan for retirement. We don't like to think about it. We don't think ahead to what happens if I'm disabled. Am I making preparations for that? And we just don't do that. And we don't watch those things carefully, and they suddenly overtake us. And then we're just sort of left floundering.
Yeah. Well, I think you've done a service to everybody, David, by bringing this up to them.
Because let me tell you from personal experience, I wasn't prepared for this. Didn't have any... and with my eyes having these bleeds and so on in them, I'm not able to go out and look for work until this gets stabilized. And so I have to live off my disability, which is not much. You know, and it's
And you still managed to put together a good show for us.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, or encouraged us to talk about that, because that's an important issue for people to be aware of.
Well, you want to transition into the Wisconsin recall election?
Yeah, that was kind of an interest. I was kind of surprised. I guess Governor Walker, despite the efforts of the leftists and the Occupy Wall Street
unions.
and the public sector unions, he's defeated the recall.
I was surprised at the margin he defeated it at, too.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin
Well,
is
because
one
it was
of the...
higher than his margin for victory in the election, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
He got more.
yeah. Much higher, yeah.
So you're talking about...
So and Wisconsin has always been known as a progressive state, a union state, and a very left-wing state.
Well, it's
So this
made
is doubly a surprise.
it made it extremely clear that the registered voters up there are very happy with with what he's doing to save the state. And I think it's a good idea in the fact that they're willing to cut certain things to make it possible for them to actually survive as a state and not fall like many of the states have recently with bankrupt states and all
like
that.
the state I live in.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Eric, when we were in, the teachers that taught us in junior high? They were public employees. It was almost impossible to fire one of them. But they didn't have a whole lot of benefits. They didn't have a huge pension, and they didn't have this super medical coverage and all of that. But they had job security. They knew they would work 20 or 25 years and be eligible for retirement. But it wasn't a huge pension.
No, always it was that was what the trade-off in public service always was, is you had security, but you didn't have spectacular benefits.
You had decent pension and medical coverage. It wasn't, but that's why you also had your Social Security and Medicare and all that. You'd have that in addition. And
you had the respect to the community, of course.
Yeah, and the respect to the community. And you had, a guaranteed position.
Yeah.
Unless you were, molesting the students or something, it was practically... And even sometimes then they just transfer you somewhere else.
Okay, now...
Unless you...
Now, let me transition this a little bit. You guys mentioned that this related to the Occupy movement. How exactly is the Wisconsin thing? I've been having some trouble making the connection. Can you guys link it for me?
The Occupy people were a
the
driving
first
force
ones
behind
in there
the
to
recall.
protest.
Behind the recall. They were a driving force behind that.
Okay.
And so what this says is the majority of Americans are not behind this
they're not behind this alliance between the public sector unions and the Democratic Party, where basically
they're not
they've
behind
shoved the taxpayers out as a negotiator. It's been my scratch your back, you scratch my back thing.
Because you'll notice we're back in the height of summer now, and I hear very little about the Occupy movement.
Yeah, I know around here
it lost its steam in the winter when it went into hibernation.
Yeah, apparently it never woke up for spring.
Even here in California, which is a great state for protesting because we have nice weather here in Southern California, there hasn't been any Occupy thing of any note. There was one little march, but they had less than 100 people.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me we ought to get Governor Walker to actually run for president and start making some hard decisions up there too.
Well, I think one Governor Brown of California should call him up, find out how you do it.
Well, California is so strange anyway because of those public referendums. Where the public votes all this money and doesn't figure out how are we going to pay for it.
No, well, what our state senate and council does is they put rosy projections of how the economy is going to grow.
How are they planning to
happen?
For example, are they talking in California, Eric, about overturning that referendum that required that the health care for all illegal aliens, the children of illegal aliens, be paid for by the state?
I have not heard anything about it. I know
that would save an enormous amount of money right there.
Yeah. I know here in San Diego and in San Jose we had similar propositions to Scott Walker's to reform of the public pension unions, and they passed in both cities.
I'm sorry,
but of course there's
what was the referendum?
To reform public pensions, like in Wisconsin, but not as drastic.
Yeah.
Just for the city of San Diego and for the city of San Jose. And in both cities it passed, but of course in California we don't care. We go to court.
Yes, of course. You've
Yeah.
got such, both at the state and federal level, you have the
Yeah.
most screwball judges
Yeah.
of anywhere in the country. Of course, the Ninth Circuit,
Yeah.
the federal circuit there in California, is overturned more often than any other circuit.
Yeah, because
nation.
Governor Brown actually did try and make some cuts, and they've all gone to court, and he hasn't been able to enact them yet.
Well, I don't know. I think the courts are probably going to favor the governor because
Yeah,
you,
well,
you,
not in this
something's got to
state.
be done. You can't keep.
I
because-
am kind of wondering what's going to happen because we were supposed to be 9 billion, but now all of a sudden it grew to 15 billion. So I am really wondering what's going to happen in this state.
Well, how many billions of dollars are you, or is it trillions? Is it
No, it's billions. It's 15 billion. It was supposed to be a 9 billion deficit, but all of a sudden it became a 15 billion deficit and growing.
$15 billion, good grief. And growing. They're not quite sure
And
what
growing.
it is.
No, they're not quite sure. There's still stuff to come in, yeah. So I think, in my opinion, I think Jerry Brown's going to run over to the feds and ask for money.
Oh,
Because,
good grief. Yeah, and you know what that'll do? The feds will want to take control of the state,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, well,
In which case, the
California
drastic
already
cuts-
has a...
In which case, those
Well-
drastic cuts are going to go into effect anyway.
Yeah.
And
Well, we already have like 12% unemployment here.
oh, that's terrible.
So, yeah, I mean,
12%?
he's
What's
talking
the
about raising
population in-
taxes.
Like
we
35
shrank.
million?
Yeah, we've been shrinking. We actually lost a couple of seats last census.
Really?
Yeah, we lost a couple of seats. So, yeah, but yeah, I just don't see how he's going to close it anyway. I mean, he doesn't have Bernanke. He can't call up and have him print money, so... I think this is why Obama, he's talking about this jobs package, which basically is another stimulus package. He's trying to keep the public sector employees at work, because they're certainly not going to vote for him if they're out of work.
Yes, that's true. And that's a large part of his base.
I think if he does get this stimulus passed, yeah, it's basically just going to go to like California and Illinois
Yeah.
and New York, which are the 3 states on the verge of default. Although I think we're actually ahead of Illinois and New York. But
Well,
California's always
Have you
first,
seen
right?
a significant cut in public services like police, fire,
Well, I
ambulance?
haven't really noticed anything. I mean, they're kind of playing, I understand musical chairs at the libraries. They shut one down a week and then they open up another one. But just little stuff like that. I haven't seen anything really drastic.
So,
But what you do see drastic is if you walk around, I mean, this is California, San Diego, Southern California, you see lots of empty storefronts everywhere.
good grief. Yeah, the real estate bust.
Yeah, the real estate has just never come back here. I mean, it was too high anyway, but it may never get back.
Oh, that's
And,
too bad.
Like you were saying, you can barely live on your disability benefits in Arkansas. Here, you might get to McDonald's twice a month on them, and that would be it.
Yeah.
Well, gas is $4.05. I just passed the gas station, a gallon. That's the cheap stuff.
That's cheap. Yeah. Well, they need to roll
So-
back some of those taxes. Those special additives and so on. That
Well, what the
California
trouble is-
requires.
Yeah, well, what the trouble is, the real trouble is the California tax, you'd think it would be like 10 cents a gallon, 50 cents a gallon, whatever. No, it's a percentage of the price. So the higher the price goes up, the higher the tax goes up,
Yeah, which is.
which makes it really high.
Do many people in California realize that?
No,
Because
they
you
don't
can't-
talk about this, yeah. No, our politicians here are good at, well, we have an all-Democratic House and, governor, so we don't talk about stuff like that. We don't talk about all the businesses leaving. Yeah, I hear businesses are just fleeing the state.
Oh, good grief. Well, because you have all those additional environmental fees and taxes that California passed.
Yeah, I was surprised in San Jose because I thought that'd be one of the cities that would be thriving with all the Silicon Valley stuff, but I guess they're having big troubles up there too.
Well, good grief.
I hear San Francisco pretty much takes $100 bill to park your car now.
If you can find a parking space up there.
If you can find a parking space. Well, what they've done is they actually adopted sort of a capitalistic model on the parking meters. The busy spaces actually go up now. You know, these smart meters, I don't know if you guys have them, where at busy times of the day, the price actually goes up on the parking meters, and slow times of the day it goes down, or slow streets.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, we also have that on our electricity, too.
Oh. So it's higher price during the day, during the day hours when the demand is greater.
Oh yeah, in summer, whenever peak's higher, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have all kinds of little tricks here in this state. They're basically just helping the state go bankrupt even faster.
Good grief.
But our politicians are so money hungry. I mean, I wouldn't go a mile over the speed limit. You know, they love to give tickets. The city's so broke.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I bet they're gonna have to raise the city's revenue somehow, and a lot of that comes from tickets. If it's the way it is here in Arkansas, if it's the same way in California, the city gets a portion of the of the cost, and the court gets the other portion.
So if any of our viewers are from out of state and planning to visit California, obey the traffic laws. You're really a target with an out-of-state plate.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard some pretty bad things going through, I believe it's Alabama, where they actually confiscate money if you happen to be carrying any. And you have to go through courts to get it all back. But they'll take it just for the suspicion that you're carrying around $10,000? Oh, you're telling me you might buy a used car? Yeah, we think it's drug money, so we're going to seize it.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, whenever you drive into any of these states now, if you have an out-of-state plate, I'd obey all the traffic laws. Strictly. They're all strictly enforced now, especially if you have an out-of-state plate. Except for maybe Nevada, because they need tourists.
Especially on the highway, that's where the state gets much of its revenue.
Yeah. The only state you're probably safe in is Nevada, because they really ticket their residents and out-of-state people bringing money in.
Yeah, because they want them to take it to the casino.
Yeah, so like I said, but if you're coming into California with an out-of-state plate, I would strictly obey all the laws here.
Well.
Every time I go out, I mean, there's at least one. I pass by at least one policeman with a radar on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the people of Wisconsin actually stood up. So we'll see what happens. If you want to see the opposite, you can always look here to California and see the opposite thing to do.
Well, yeah, I thought that was interesting though, because it was also a referendum not only on Scott Walker, but on the Occupy movement and the public sector unions and all of that. And as Richard Nixon said, it's the great silent majority that always rise up, and and I guess Wisconsin heard from them, and they like Walker and his program.
Yeah, I would say this is all of a sudden puts Wisconsin in play for the presidential election too.
Yeah.
I don't know if either one of you heard Obama today say that the private sector is doing well.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't get out
to everybody. Yeah, I guess so. I guess on Air Force One, everything seems great.
Well, I hear they're talking. The rumor is that the Republican Party wants Governor McDaniel of Indiana to be Romney's running mate, but Romney favors Rand Paul. Not Ron Paul, but his son, Rand Paul.
Well, I have no idea how that's going to go.
I hear there's even a possibility people are going to try to draft Ron Paul on the floor of the convention.
Well, and I'm sure he's going to, yeah, I've heard rumors he might announce early. I guess that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting election season this year.
Yeah.
Just hope it isn't the last.
No, let's hope not, but, you know.
I think maybe we should put the Islam off till next week.
Yeah.
Next week, tell all of our viewers we're going to start our big series on Islam. It'll probably go maybe 2 to 4 shows, depends how much material we can cover each show.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover because it's
So
and
is there
David's
something?
posted some.
Is there something specific you're going to be talking about it, or?
We're going to be talking about the history, the practice, yeah, basically everything. And for those of you who want to get a head start, David has posted some interesting videos by Robert Spencer that I would encourage you to watch, and some interesting videos on the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, go to
I would encourage you to watch.
Go to our website and watch those. They're very interesting. They're very informative. They deal with the civilization jihad that that the Muslim Brotherhood's engaged in around the world, and especially here in the United States now.
And the ones by Spencer, I'll have to admit, are also entertaining.
Yes, yes.
And you're going to find out a lot of new information you never thought was there.
Yeah. It'll help you understand.
We're going to go do everything from whether Muhammad existed or not till the present day.
So just before we sign off, I was wanting to get you guys' opinion on what's going on down in Louisiana. Apparently, Ron Paul wins 62% of Louisiana during their convention, and yet his delegates are being arrested.
Oh yeah, this is the problem. This is why there's a suspicion that Ron Paul has actually got the delegates to win the nomination already, but they've been messing with the vote totals. You know, because you talk to people who are contributing money to candidates, and he's the one in the lead. You know, and he's certainly in the lead among the military.
Well, if you want a little anecdotal evidence, I can tell you around here in San Diego, and a few times I've gone to L.A., I see a lot more Ron Paul signs than I see Romney or Obama.
Yeah.
Right, so are we just having the wool pulled over our eyes, and they're going to do whatever the heck they want to do and basically ignore the people's will?
Well, this could set us up for some conflict because I don't know how many people know this, but the company that will be counting the vote total, will be tallying the votes this November, is in Spain.
Spain?
It's not even here in America. It's a Spanish company.
Yeah.
And with all this computerized voting and so on, it would be easy to rig the election. You know.
So we've basically lost all democracy in this country altogether. We can't hold an honest election. From what this number 2 story this week was showing is, you know, the chairman of the convention there refused to give up his seat even though people were duly elected properly, and the sitting chairman actually had the new chairman dragged out by police, all because he was a Ron Paul supporter.
Yeah, I feel more and more like I'm living in a third world nation.
Yes.
Well, this is going to keep happening, and the Republican convention is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, because they're supposed to, or the Ron Paul party, the people trying to get him elected, they're trying to hold a convention down there, and the Republican National Convention is trying everything they can do to prevent that gathering from happening.
Yeah, because if that happens, the snowball starts rolling. down the hill.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the reason I don't think anything's going to happen is I think the deal's already been cut between Romney and Ron Paul.
Yeah, all the major media seems to be on board with that.
Yeah, so I just don't see this really. Like I said, it's disturbing, but I think it's going to disappear. Well, the other thing I want to say before we sign off is on my blog, processidealism.blogspot.com, there's some new material, and it's pretty controversial stuff, and I'd encourage everybody to look at it.
Very good. And we're constantly posting up on the weekendreview.tv website, up on our blog. We're posting videos and that sort of thing as well.
And
go ahead.
Yep. I want to tell all of our viewers, too, I also look at the show and all the comments of the week's show, and I'll respond to you if you write something down.
I'm sorry I'm unable to respond to things because I can't really read right now. So,
that's all right. We'll pull your way. We'll pitch in for you, David.
Thank you. But
you've done so much. Yeah, it's the least we can do. But I actually enjoy doing it. So yeah, if you leave some comments under the video on YouTube, I will try and respond to you.
And everyone look at that stuff and look at some of those videos that are up there. They're very interesting and very informative. Some of them are long, you know, like the Money Masters, but that's very beneficial to watch that. It'll help you understand how our financial system works here in the United States.
Yeah.
And the Muslim Brotherhood in America will help you understand this stealth jihad that's going on.
Yeah.
And how some of our own government officials are complicit in this.
Yeah. And next week we're really going to go into it, but we thought it was important, David, especially to get this story about the Social Security, the payroll tax cut to you.
You know, kind of look out for that, folks. You know, do your own research and watch your own contributions and calculate your. You know, you need to become more aware of your own retirement, and you're going to have to take more of it on yourself, and that's what they intend. So you might as well start doing it. And
you might as well
ahead
do
of
it.
them.
And plan in case anybody can become disabled at any moment. So keep that in the front of your mind.
Yeah, and if you have the ability to get an annuity or set up that, do that. You know, it'll give you a little bit of an additional pension money that you can draw. If you have a huge amount of money just sitting around not doing anything, you know, put it into an annuity and have it start drawing at a certain time.
All right,
Well,
well,
you'll have an additional small amount every month that you can count on, for sure.
okay, so we got our homework for next week.
Yep.
Research the videos that we posted up, and I guess that's all we got for this week. I'm Daniel at weekendreview.tv.
And we thank you, Daniel, for all your help and work you put into the show.
Thank you. And of course we have Eric and David.
Well, I guess that's it for this week, folks. We'll sign off, and we'll see you next week when we begin our series on Islam. So I'm David Smith, and this is Week in Review.
Okay, we're off.
Okay, yeah. Well, that was kind of rambling about